To the NFC North, what actually might be the murderer's row. Caleb Williams is entering his second season under Ben Johnson. Last year, his first-year head coach nearly got Williams to become the first 4,000-yard passer in franchise history. It's 2026, just 58 yards shy. Bears tight end Colson Loveland, meanwhile, speaking about the mentality heading into the season.
Being the second year in the offense, everyone's a little more comfortable, moving a little bit faster, which is nice. But still got a long ways to go. Just trying to get the completion percentage up, be a little tighter, and then obviously win every game.
The completion percentage sort of balloon going up in the air got us thinking, because Loveland's talking about for Williams at 58%. That was 32nd out of 33 qualified quarterbacks, only ahead of rookie J.J. McCarthy. Now, despite the massive improvements that Williams made with Ben Johnson, his completion percentage was lower under him than in his rookie season. Kmart, what have been the biggest takeaways so far from the Bears offseason, completion percentage aside for now?
Well, boys, I can tell you, Caleb Williams is loving year 2 under Ben Johnson. The biggest reason, he doesn't feel like he's drowning like he was last year. And that's a quote from Caleb. He feels like he actually understands what's happening, which is scary because he was pretty scary last year on the field. I think when you look at him, confidence always sky high regardless of what's happening, but he just feels more comfortable. He's the leadership. When you talk to people in Chicago, it's always on par, even with his teammates. Even when he's hitting Luther Burden in practice for a 40-yard touchdown and Luther's in the end zone celebrating, Caleb was like, yo, get out of there, spike the ball. Like Caleb is taking that leadership on, and I think for Ben Johnson, he feels like as long as he and I are on the same page, the sky's the limit for our team.
Jordan, how concerning is Caleb Williams' completion percentage going from year 1 to year 2?
Zero concern. I think it's extremely overrated. 2 reasons that his completion percentage dropped. The first year in a new system with Ben Johnson, you're always going to be a little less efficient. You're always going to be a little slower to pull the trigger at times. It's going to lead to a lower completion percentage. And the second thing is, Ben Johnson in this offense wants to push the ball downfield. They take shots. They push the ball to the intermediate. As a rookie, his yards per attempt was 6.3. It was 33rd in the NFL. So, of course, his completion percent is going to be higher. And it's going to, again, take a jump this year, year 2 under Ben Johnson. And, look, I love the fact that Caleb Williams is getting a chance to use the arm talent. Now, Ben Johnson's going to have to do one thing. He's going to have to teach this young quarterback that you don't always have to hit a home run every single play. And one thing that offensive coordinators always said when I sat in the meeting room with them, a shot called doesn't mean a shot taken. Just because we have an aggressive play call doesn't mean you have to make an aggressive throw. And I think that will be where Caleb Williams takes the next step, because Jared Goff was able to almost lead the NFL under Ben Johnson in yards per attempt. I think he was second in 2024, but he was also second in completion percentage. So you can be efficient while being aggressive. That's the maturation that we'll see from Caleb Williams year 2.
Everything Jordan's saying is accurate. I think that's the hard thing for Caleb. The difficult, the tricky is what he loves and what he's so good at. But since his pro day, every team, every coach has wanted to see him do this simple. Just do this simple, and that can save you a lot.
The Bears going to repeat.
Tough.
It is.
It's
He's
tough
so
for a
talented,
quarterback that for his entire career, he's the most talented physically as an athlete and with his arm. He always wants to make the big play. And that's where Ben Johnson, it's more between the ears of teaching him, hey, that check down sometimes is your best friend. I'll call another shot. Don't worry. We'll get back to it. But give me 4 or 5 yards and we can move on.
Jordan, you have the Bears repeating in the NFC North?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think they repeat. I think the Lions are going to get better. Packers are going to get better. Vikings will be better. But I got the Lions or the Packers taking that one.
Ooh.
And Kimberly, you said it's hard for the Vikings to be worse. Is that what you said?
I definitely.
Is that what you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your.
No, I didn't.
That was me who said
Listen,
that?
because I have to go to Minnesota, so no.
I'm joking.
I did not.
Update on Brandon Aiyuk. He's still technically a member of the 49ers, but he basically came out and said, like, hey, go Commanders. Go Commanders. I want to play for the Commanders. It seems like every time he releases like a video on Instagram or something, he just has to put his foot further. The team's going to actually like want him if his whole situation is resolved with the 49ers.
And what's it going to take to resolve the situation with the 49ers?
You know, I think time. So a couple of things here. You know the term, like, when someone says the quiet part out loud? That's kind of like what he did. Like, we all were sort of like, oh, you know, there's going to be interest from the Commanders. And I think we've known that for some time. He literally was like, when I get released, I'm signing with the Commanders. You know, and I think, I don't know this, but what I think is that the idea is you create enough noise, enough negative publicity, I'm just going to cut him. They seem to not want to. And the fact that he has already identified And I couldn't agree more. Like every time he opens his mouth, you're just like, oh my God, like more of this, like just more, you know?
Yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, but this wheel has been squeaky for a while and seemingly no oil or no kind of end in sight. If he ends up with the Commanders, we'll be excited for him, obviously, because he's an incredible talent. But boy, there's been a lot of wasted money and seemingly time here that hopefully could have been settled or will get settled ASAP. But I think Aiyuk saying, they don't make him like that anymore. You know, no more at least, is kind of what I've realized. And maybe they might have never made him like that ever. And never again, especially with how this is all gone with the Niners. Riley Green has a question for you, Rap Sheet. He put out Ain't My Last Rodeo on October 13, 2023. Available right now. And it's a little different around here, ain't it? Ain't it, Riley?
Yeah. When have you ever seen a tactic like bad-mouthing a team or talking about another place you want to be when you're still in a contract with a team work out for anybody ever?
Good question.
I've been thinking quite a lot about this. It just never happens because usually you have people close to a player, let's say Brandon Aiyuk in this case, where you say, listen, if you just kind of be quiet, this is going to be okay. Just don't be the guy that everyone, you know, is annoyed with. And it does not seem like is listening to people close to him at all, has not been for some time. I mean, remember, he got his money, his guaranteed money taken away by the 49ers, and to my knowledge, didn't fight it. Would not let anyone fight for it. Just said, screw it.
He said, ain't my damn to give, I guess. I mean, just like the fact that he...
Crazy.
Good morning, New Mexico.
Crazy.
Someone said it better.
The Aiyuk situation is insanity, but if he gets on the Commanders, what are we all saying?
Good job.
Man, Jaden's about to go crazy. They'll have a parade. They'll have a parade for him over there.
Yeah.
You know,
that's a good play. He's healthy, still a good player. It's just hard to see that from whatever this is.
What if Brandon Aiyuk wants Washington, but the Chicago Bears are the team that should be asking the bigger question right now? Because listen, Bears fans, this situation in San Francisco has gone from awkward to loud to straight up uncomfortable. Aiyuk is still technically tied to the 49ers, but the public message has been impossible to ignore. He has flirted with the Commanders, he has made noise on social media, and now the entire league is watching one question. If this thing completely falls apart, who is bold enough to make the call? And that is where Chicago enters the conversation. Not because this is confirmed, not because Ryan Poles has made an offer, but because smart teams monitor chaos, and when a talented receiver becomes available in a messy situation, you at least pick up the phone. Here is what makes this so interesting. Brandon Aiyuk is not just some name floating around in rumor season. When healthy and focused, this guy is a problem. He creates separation, he sells routes, he can win outside, work the intermediate areas, attack soft spots in coverage, and turn a normal completion into a drive-changing play. This is a receiver who led San Francisco with over 1,300 receiving yards in 2023, and that did not happen by accident. He was thriving in a high-level offense built on timing, spacing, yards after the catch, and quarterback-friendly windows. Now, imagine taking that kind of skill set and putting it near Caleb Williams. And Bears fans, this is where the conversation gets dangerous. Caleb Williams does not need another receiver just for decoration. He needs weapons who can make his life easier. He needs receivers who uncover quickly when the pocket gets muddy. He needs players who punish defenses when Caleb extends the play. Aiyuk, at his best, gives a quarterback answers. If the first read is covered, he can separate late. If the defense plays zone, he can find space. If the Bears want to push the ball downfield, he gives them another route technician who forces corners to stay honest. That matters because Caleb is entering the phase where Chicago has to stop talking about potential and start building pressure around opponents. Now, let's be real, because this is not a Madden trade with the salary cap turned off. There are red flags here. There is the injury history. There is the contract situation. There is the noise. There is the fact that Aiyuk has been very public with Washington. And if you are the Bears, you cannot ignore the locker room question. You cannot ignore the medicals. You cannot ignore the money. You can't say he was great in 2023, so let's throw everything at him. No, that is how teams get reckless. But if the 49ers lose leverage, if the price drops, if this becomes less about a massive trade package and more about opportunity, then Chicago absolutely has to study the situation. Because here's the real football point people are missing. Aiyuk would not have to come in and erase Rome Odunze or slow down Luther Burden. He would raise the standard. He would force coverage decisions harder. He would force defensive coordinators to stop loading attention onto one side of the field. Think about that. Caleb in shotgun, Odunze threatening size and contested catches, Burden creating after the catch, Aiyuk working with precision, separation, and explosive timing. Suddenly, the Bears are not just hoping somebody gets open, they are attacking every level of the field. Short, intermediate, deep, sideline, middle, scramble drill. That is how a young quarterback grows fast. Give him answers everywhere. And this connects perfectly with what was being discussed in that clip. The Aiyuk situation is messy, yes. They talked about him basically saying the quiet part out loud. They talked about the Commanders. They talked about the idea of creating enough noise that San Francisco finally says, "We are done." But the most important part came near the end. Even with all the drama, they still admitted the obvious. When healthy, he is still a good player. That is the part every Bears fan should hold on to. Not the drama, not the social media, the football. Can this player help Caleb Williams? Can this player help Chicago become harder to defend? Can this player turn a promising offense into something the NFC actually fears? My answer is this. At the right price, yes, Chicago should make the call. Not chase blindly, not overpay, not ignore the risk, but make the call. Because the Bears are trying to build around Caleb Williams, and when you have a quarterback with that kind of talent, you cannot be passive forever. You add protection, you add speed, you add route runners, you add players who turn pressure into production. Brandon Aiyuk may want Washington, but if the 49ers situation keeps falling apart, the Bears should at least ask the question before another NFC team steals the opportunity. So Bears fans, I want to hear you on this one. Should Chicago even consider Brandon Aiyuk if the 49ers situation collapses? Would you take the risk to give Caleb Williams another serious weapon, or is the drama too much? Drop your opinion in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in, because if the Bears ever added a receiver like Aiyuk to this Caleb Williams offense, man, the NFC would have a real problem. Bear down.